All right, folks, today I'm going to be stress testing what I think is the #1 third-party dock for your Nintendo Switch 2, which is the Gemdo Dongle Dock version 2. If you look closely at the logo there, you'll see that it has a 2 after the Gemdo. That is the version 2 dock. If you look this up on Amazon, when you look at the picture, you'll see that the blue itself has a little shine to it because it's an anodized aluminum, very well made quality dongle dock. And they also make, they make a 60 hertz and a 144 hertz. I suggest purchasing the 144 hertz because it's only a few dollars more. Today I'll be testing the 60 hertz because that's the one that I have and the one that I use. I really don't have a need for the 144 hertz for the way I play using this dock. So we'll be using the 60 hertz today, but this test does apply to the 144 hertz. It also applies to any of the clone docks that look identical to this that are the Need Use brand. Now, I still suggest buying this one because Gemdo has great support. It's very simple to update and they keep up with the firmware updates. The Need Use, you're just gonna have to find the right firmware to update those docks. Some use the Gemdo firmware, some use Hagibis, and some use who knows what else, and some you can't even update. So I just suggest going with this, but if you have the Need Use, this scenario will work. So let's max it out to make sure this dock can do everything we'd ever need it to do. And by max out, what I mean is I'm going to use every single port on this, and then the USB port, I'm going to plug in a 4-port hub and use 4 wired controllers on this 4-port hub plugged into this single USB port. And the controllers I'm going to use are dedicated wired controllers. These are on-brand $20 controllers from Walmart, and these are excellent controllers. If you want a secondary controller for maybe your kids or your kids' friends, or someone that you don't want to give them your $100 Pro 2 controller to beat up on, this is an excellent controller. I use these for events and they're sturdy, they work well. I have zero complaints other than the fact they're wired, but I purposely bought them for beaters and they work really well. And these are dedicated wired, as you can see. These aren't a USB-C port with a plug in it. These are 100% wired, done deal, end of story. And we have 4 of them. We have we have 2 black, and we have 2 of the translucent red. The translucent red look really cool. They don't glow or anything, they just look cool. And for our HDMI port to our monitor, we have an 8K, I'm not sure what the bandwidth is on this, but it is a 2.1. It is USB 2.1 8K. And our 4-port hub is powered. As you can see, we plug it in, we have power. I suggest using a powered hub if you're going to do something like this. And it's got a old school mini USB port connector. So this is all plugged in, ready to go, at least into power. And then to power the Switch 2, we're going to be using let's unplug it just to show you, the on-brand power block. I tested this with my power tester, and this tests out identical to the Nintendo power supply. It uses the PD 3.0 or 3.1, whatever, and it drops down power when it needs to. Very good power supply for the price. So everything's plugged into power. And let's go ahead and plug in our HDMI cable first. So that way when you plug the dongle into the Switch 2, you can see it change from the Switch 2 to the actual monitor. And for full transparency here, I didn't set anything up previously here except for plugging the power in. So we'll do all configurations needed to the controllers once they're connected. It's not a plug and play as far as the controllers. When you plug the controllers into your Switch 2, you're going to have to go into the controller order and get every controller in the right order working. It's not a big deal. It's very simple to do, but it's something that you do have to do, and we'll do all of that. That's why I didn't want to preset anything here. We're also using, for the monitor, we're using the old KTC. Well, it's not old, it's newer, but it's a nice KTC 27-inch. I'll put this model in the link. This has HDR. I think it goes up to 160, 180. I don't know. It's more than 120 hertz for sure. And I have the frame rate checker, whatever, monitor in the corner, so you'll see the frame rate that's running at. So everything should be ready to go here. Let's go ahead and plug everything into our dongle dock. So we'll plug in our USB 2.0. I'm sorry, HDMI 2.0. Well, our USB from the 4-port hub. I'm just gonna set that on my lap for now because I think we're eventually gonna have to plug the controllers in. So I got a lot of cables back here, and most of these cables are kind of stiff, so they want to flop around wherever I set them. So we have those two hooked up, and let's get our on-brand power connector. All right, so right now our Gemdo dock is maxed out plug-wise, and we have our 4-port plug, our 4-port hub plugged in. So let's put the hub over here for now. And what I'm going to do is I'll plug the controllers in now. Since this is a powered hub, it'll recognize each one of these. Then we'll plug everything into the Switch 2 after it's all plugged into the dock. So I'm just going to set the dock down on the ground here for now. And you'll see as we plug in the controllers, I'm going to go ahead and plug these in. Let me see, how could I do this? You'll see the controller, when it hits the powered hub, the controller will start scanning for a port to connect to on the Switch. Let me see, is it go? Yeah, see, it'll start scanning, but it's going to turn off since it's not plugged into the Switch 2. So we'll do that for every controller. Our USB-C cable just fell off the hub, but that's not going to change anything we're doing right now. And let's go ahead and plug our second controller in. And again, well, I don't know if I mentioned it previous, but this is going to be a one-take video. I'm not going to edit it all because I don't want anybody pretending like I'm bullshitting and showing something working that doesn't work. Is that going? Did that go? Yeah, it went. Controller 3. And again, I'm going to verify everything here. This way, anybody who wants to do this will know exactly what to look for when they set this up. So let's go controller 3. I'm just going to assume that it's, well, I guess I can look at it when I plug it in. Yeah, you can see that it's scanning. And then our controller 4. If you do this setup for an event or something, you'll see what I mean by all the wires. That's where wireless is really nice. And let's go ahead and plug in our 4th controller. And you can see that it's scanning, and then it'll do nothing. All right, so right now everything is plugged in, ready to go. We're going to use Mario Kart as our test game. So everything's plugged in. Let's turn the Switch 2 on. Now, when the Switch 2 comes on, all right, look, we're going to plug this in, and you'll see it swap to the KTC. I don't know if you heard that buzz, but the controllers will vibrate. At least player 1 will vibrate when you first plug it in. So the dongle dock is now working, and you can see it's running 60 frames, 60 hertz. But you'll notice on each controller, the player 1 is the only light that's lit up. So right now the Switch 2 does not know which player any of these controllers are, but I think I can grab any one of these and use it as player 1 to go ahead and configure the Switch 2. So I'm going to grab the one here on the farthest to the, I guess it'd be your right, my left, and let's see if it's working. Yep, so it's working. So this is working as our controller 1. So we're going to go over to the controller setting in the menu, and we're going to go to change grip order. And all we have to do now is hit the button for each grip. So as you can see, this is player 1. It was already set to player 1, but I'm going to show you as I hit the buttons here to prove that we're connected. So you see that's still player 1. Now it's player 2. And you can see it line up here. So I'm going to keep it off to the side a little bit so you can see it go player 3. And my finger hit the stupid button. So this one's player 4. So that's all you need to do. And then with your player 1 controller, you want to hit A when you're ready. So we have all 4 controllers connected to our hub, to the dongle dock, and they're all working perfectly. Oops, hit the wrong button. Let's go. Of course, this is where someone's going to say, oh man, he made a mistake on purpose. Of course, now that one goes to 2. The wheels are falling off the test here. Number 3. And number 4. All right, so let's make sure we don't hit the wrong button here again. So A when ready. Okay, so now we're good to go. We'll go back to our main menu, and let's go ahead and fire up Mario Kart. And this monitor supports HDR, which Mario Kart 8 doesn't have HDR anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the Switch 2 is set up to connect correctly to this monitor. We're getting 60 hertz from the dongle dock, which we see up here. Let's go and hit left to right. We'll go to multiplayer. Now, if you don't, I believe if you don't have 4 controllers connected to where the Switch knows you have 4 controllers connected, you won't even get the option of 4-player. And we're just going to pick any old race here, 50cc. Now, I noticed this, the first race, even after connecting everything, the first time you go to connect, it goes through here and verifies the connection. So, controller 1, controller 2. I don't think I ever need to do this, but I'm going to do this anyway. At least for my events, I do it because I don't want it to disconnect or mess up while people are playing. Once you do this one time in this mode right here, it shouldn't come up again. So let's go ahead and pick Mario. We're going to pick Princess. Let's go Luigi. Player 3, we're going to go Princess Peach. Player 4, we're going to go Yoshi. And then on player 1, we're going to keep these defaults. Player 2, keep the defaults. Player 3, keep the defaults. Player 4, keep the defaults. We're going to go ahead and pick any race here. And when the game starts, I'm just going to take each controller, show you that all the buttons are working, and that, you know, should do it for the prove out. We'll, you know, hopefully it'll all work, which I know it will. I've done this many times before. So, player 1, Mario, as you can see, you know, reverse working, left and right working. Drift, and then of course the I think it's like the horn or the, you know, your power up button. We'll also show you that pause works. We're pausing it. Screenshot works, and then we go back to the menu with the menu button. So controller 1's working. Controller 2 will do the same thing. Forward, reverse, left to right is working. Drift, horn, screenshot, pause, main menu. That's pretty much everything there. Player 3, Princess Peach, forward, reverse, left to right, horn, drift, pause, screenshot, main menu, and last but not least, good old Yoshi. Left to right, forward, drift, horn, screenshot, menu, pause, and that's pretty much it. I mean, proof right there that we can fully max out. Let's turn this down a little bit. So proof we can max out our Gemdo dongle dock with every port connected and a 4-port hub connected to the USB to support the wired controllers. And this is all basic items you can buy anywhere. You can buy the dongle dock from Amazon. You can buy these wired controllers from Walmart for 20 bucks a pop like I did, or you can buy any wired controller. Now, I haven't tried this with you know, wireless, but wireless kind of doesn't really help us out because it has nothing to do with the dock. So I think that at one event I actually I disconnected the Joy-Cons and had one in my pocket, so I had a master controller. So all 4 of these worked and the Joy-Con worked wireless. I'm 90% sure that I did that. The only thing that's making me kind of think maybe I didn't is I can't remember if I had all 4 of these controllers hooked up, but pretty sure that I did. So, you know, well, heck, we can do it right now. Let's see what happens here. So I think this would be... Nope, we're not getting anything. I wonder... Let's just test this. This is a bonus test. So let's take the the wireless controller player 1, and let's see what happens. So we'll make this 1, we'll make this 2, we'll make this 3, we'll make this 4, and let's go ahead and see what happens when I hit these 2. You didn't see anything happen here, but I did feel it vibrate. Now let's see what happens when I hit A. Nothing. Let's go back to the game and see if I can pause the game. I probably can't, but let's give it a try. Oops. And let's see if I can do something here. No. Nope. We're going to do one more test here. Let's grab the Pro controller. We have a Pro 2 controller here. I'm pretty sure it's not going to do anything at all. So let's go ahead and see if we can add this to the grip order. I swear I had the Joy-Cons connecting as a 5th controller, wireless. I know I did, but I guess a little bonus test here. All right, number 4, and let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's not working. Well, that's a story for another day. We have it maxed out. I'm pretty sure you can get this connected, but I'm not going to waste too much time in this video. But as you can see, if we go back to let's go in A, B, back to the game, and we're good to go. So as you can see, we have maxed out the Gemdo adapter. And just to show you that we are legitimately... Now see, when I unplug that, now we don't have anything here. So let's go ahead and connect the... there we go. Now it's finding the Joy-Cons. There we go. So now our Joy-Cons are connected. Oh. It's not liking. Okay, so I think the problem is, since it was in 4-player mode and I tried to disconnect them, it wants the 4 controllers connected for this. So let's go ahead and... Yeah, it's forcing us back because we eliminated that. So we can just get back to this menu here, kill the game, and now we're back to regular Switch mode. So, sorry that's kind of far away, but anyhow, those are just kind of some trials and tribulations of switching back between the 4. But as you can see, everything worked just fine with our Gemdo dongle dock, with our 4-port powered hub, and our 4 Walmart controllers. And that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, comments, anything at all, go ahead and leave it in the comment section, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And again, this video was a one-shot from beginning to end, so I wasn't pulling any razzle-dazzle. Let me know what you think about maxing out the dock, and I'll see you in tomorrow's edition of Switch 2 News Direct. Peace.